You hear all the time of this idea that satire is kind of at its limits, that the world could not possibly get more absurd than it is right now. Well, satire may be at its limits, but the Eurasia Group, which is like this very serious geopolitical consulting firm, they've come up with a solution to this. They've come up with a show called Puppet Regime, and it's basically a puppet show that satirizes world leaders and global geopolitical conflicts at the moment, and it's incredibly funny.
Hello?
Donald.
Ah, look who it is.
You want to end the war in Ukraine?
No. Okay, so what's up?
But I also wanted to know why it works, why Puppet Regime is so effective and why it's landing with so many different audiences. So Kira Hall, who's a puppeteer, is here. So is David Moscrop, who's a columnist with the Globe and Mail and The Walrus. And they have a lot of thoughts about why puppets seem to be connecting with people. I got a lot out of this conversation. I hope that you do too. Hello, both of you.
Hello.
Hi. It's nice to have you here, David.
Oh, it's nice to be here for the first time.
Wow, this is going to be the vibe and the energy. This is great. Okay, before we get into Puppet Regime, I just want to just quickly play a clip that is very timely.
We are launching a new Olympics, the Gold Games, run by me.
What's wrong with the Olympics? The US always win.
Totally woke garbage, those games. They'll let any country compete, except apparently Russia, which is not very fair.
What are the events going to be?
Well, we'll have very many strong new events. This winter, a lot of ice.
Ice hockey?
Not until we take Canada. Our ice events will focus on abducting and shooting. They call it a biathlon.
Are you keeping any of the old events?
Possibly the Nordic combined. We will be combining the Nordics into the United States very strongly. Any other questions? Well, how can countries win? By presenting me with all of their medals, or else.
But what's in it for them?
Well, you can ask the lady from Venezuela about that. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
So for the folks who are listening on the radio and didn't see that clip, you know, the Trump puppet has around his neck many, many, many gold medals. That's one of the videos that Puppet Regime just dropped a few days before the end of the Olympics. Kira, you're a puppeteer. You watched this. What's your take?
Yeah, so honestly, like, I was a little nervous to go into it. It's sort of a truth universally acknowledged that if you're a company or organization, you will at some point say, hey, why don't we do puppets? And that can go one way or another. But sure. I really loved it. I thought it was sharp. It was funny. Like, it didn't have to be a super fancy or complex puppet performance because the writing did so much work, and the writing is so good.
The writing is really crisp. And like, there's a lot of just like these like little throwaway moments, like the lady from Venezuela with the medal, which is like, of course, a reference to like the Nobel Peace Prize. Like, there's a lot of like these like thrown away little references that you're like, oh, I can look that up later. Or if you can immediately sort of understand, you go like, I know what that joke is. Is there some kind of secret, do you think, to like the idea of, do you have to get all the jokes right away, or can it just kind of activate a curiosity in you?
Oh, I think definitely what you just said, activating the curiosity. Like, I watched a ton of the Puppet Regime videos over the weekend, and a lot of them I was like, haha, that's funny. And then some things I was like, I actually don't know what that joke is about. I should probably find out. And in doing so, learned more. Yeah. So I guess it was educational as well.
Of course. Moscrop, let me just contextualize how this came to be, right? So Ian Bremmer founded Eurasia Group and GZERO, which created Puppet Regime. In an interview with the New York Times, he said that the show follows the three principles that guide Eurasia Group. What the hell is happening in the world? How do we understand it? And how do we explain it? So, David Moscrop, let me ask you, there are a lot of ways that a company could achieve those goals. Why puppets, do you think?
I think it's idiosyncratic in this case. They've talked about this a little bit. Ian Bremmer was just kind of into puppets. Like, he grew up in the Muppets, right? He's of the generation that loved them. And now Muppets are back, by the way, in a big way. So a new generation.
Welcome back,
and
Muppets.
the Muppets are cool. I watched the Muppets as a kid. They're fun. They operate on a kind of a few different levels. I think that was part of it. It was just idiosyncratic. And so you had this meeting of these folks who liked puppets, who remembered the legacy of the Muppets and Spitting Image in the United Kingdom that ran for, in the United Kingdom, who knows?
Ages. Spitting Image has been around so long.
Right. They either run 15 minutes or 45 years, you know what I mean? and it's like the UK thing is there's only two speeds, like their Empire. Remember that?
Yep. I remember that. I remember that very well. Yeah. Thanks for the reminder.
Do you write for Puppet Regime, or like?
He's currently pitching himself in the writer's room of Puppet Regime.
I'm more of a, no, these days I just play Marvel Rivals. But it came together, and it's funny because they tell this story of Alex Clement, who writes, just tells a story of like one day Ian's like, hey, you want to do a puppet show, because they didn't think there was a sufficiently poignant global geopolitics satire show in the world, and so they created it with puppets.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Like, you worked at GZERO a while ago, and you're familiar with some of the people who are involved in this. You describe them as very serious people. Why would you want to create a puppet show? Like, what is this thing that he would do for the Eurasia Group to be the people behind something like this?
You know, the funniest, most irreverent people I know, and sometimes the goofiest people I know, are the smartest ones. Yeah. You know, they have this mode of when they're very serious and very dialed in and dedicated to something that is serious, they're in that mode, and then they shift to a different mode. And this is, I think, Eurasia Group in a different mode. They're expressing their values, which are liberal, democratic, internationalist, liberal order values, through satire, through puppets, in a way that operates at just a different level. And it's effective, right? And it's different than consulting work. It reaches out. It's good for the company because it's obviously outreach work for the company. And yet it's still consistent with what they believe in. Yeah.
When I think about, there's been a lot of conversation, Kira, about like the idea of the death of satire. Because I feel like every 5 years someone goes like, you know, it's dead satire. No one does satire anymore. Which I first of all,
the past decade has made it hard.
I will say it's been a little bit difficult to satirize what's happening in the United States, particularly because the things that you would sort of take to the most logical extension are just the things that are coming out of the president's mouth sometimes, right? Yeah. And so you kind of go like, there's no room for satire to go. But then, you know, satire right now, this satire seems to be landing. Why do you think puppets are an effective tool in terms of satirizing what's happening right now?
So two things I kind of think of. One is that I'm not sure if you're familiar. The Jim Henson Company does an improv show called Puppet Up, which is like TV-style puppetry. Overhead, they have a camera on stage, and they just do improv bits.
I should say for radio audiences, your hands are just going.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
you're in puppeteer mode immediately.
My hands are immediately flung over my head where they are most
for your
of
job.
My life. And in doing that, one of the things they taught us was that the puppet itself does a ton of heavy lifting as far as like comedy and wackiness. You can be very natural and very normal and do really mundane stuff, and it's going to be funny because you're doing it with a hot dog or like a googly-eyed mad scientist or other weird thing like that felt and fur thing that most people think of when they think of puppets. Yeah. And then I also think it helps. I think Alex Clement talked about this, like, to a certain extent, Puppet Regime helps shrink down these really big global issues that often feel very overwhelming and that particularly, I think, in the current moment, a lot of us feel like we have no control, no effect over, and turns them into something small and funny and they're just little guys. They're just little guys having a phone call when one of them gets sad about turning 40 or whatever. So
I like the word small that you use because like the word that I wrote down when I watched a bunch of Puppet Regime is grounded, which is like it's a weird word to sort of use to describe puppets, but that's exactly how it feels.
I absolutely
like,
agree.
There's something about like taking a larger, loftier idea and just kind of grounding it in a person or in an exchange or in a single puppet and going, okay, I can get access to it through this kind of way. David, what's your sense of this? Why do you think this form of satire, puppet satire, is landing in this moment?
I think part of it is it's a little bit absurd, and it's similar to what you mentioned earlier. It's like, what do you even say? You know, not the onion became a recurring line that we've heard over and over and over again in the last 10 years. It was like, no, that's not the onion, it's real. And then, you know, for a while it's funny. And then it becomes the kind of like Veep funny of what the, you know?
Perfect impression,
It's funny, but we're in trouble here, right? We're not safe anymore.
Ralph Wiggum, I'm in danger.
Yeah, I'm in danger. Is there an adult around that I can consult because this doesn't seem good? Yeah. And the puppet just takes it to another level. But it's also at one point, I think, can I do a little bit of Freud here for a moment?
I would love it if you do a bit of Freud here for a moment.
I also think there's just something very comforting about it that speaks to almost like a childhood comfort with these things that we probably remember from when we were kids. Right?
Yeah.
There's just like, oh, it's a puppet. I'm safe. Everything's fine. And you're in this for a moment. Oh, wait, but now the puppet's talking about a special military operation, and then it gets a little bit confusing. But I do think there's that connection. But again, it's just it does come back to this idiosyncrasy of these very serious people are doing very silly things. And I also think there's this kind of almost fish out of water, slapsticky element to it of just like there's an incongruity there that is just fun and interesting and compelling. And I think, a lot of comedy is the incongruity. Yeah. And I think that's just some of the best iterations of comedy or incongruity. So it works and it's funny. And the other thing is like the writing is just good. Yeah. Right. Like it just works on multiple levels because the writing is good and it's sharp. And when they're reaching out to people who maybe don't get something, they're reaching out to the kind of people who then kind of look it up. So there's a lot of things going on there, and it just works.
I'm glad you brought up the special military operation clip because we have that right now. We're going to play it. So here is Puppet Vladimir Putin.
Launch your special military operation. Special military operation. It's not invasion of another sovereign nation.
It's kind of a bop.
Operation.
It's difficult to function. It's genuinely just difficult to function while looking at it because it's so funny. But David, like, there's a really important message going on here, which is like the puppet is singing about how like if you launch a war and then call it a special operation, you're not committing any war crimes because it's not technically a war. I'm curious, like, who is the intended audience when you sort of see a song in a clip like that?
Eurovision. Next question.
I demand that you expound on this.
I will not. I mean, I think, it's funny. There's a long, robust, renowned American tradition of euphemism.
Yes.
Or as Lewis Lapham would have put it, war on abstract nouns. The war on terror.
Yes.
The war on poverty.
Yeah.
The war on drugs, so on. Preemptive self-defense, wars of preemptive self-defense. So I think this sort of video, this approach hits in the United States because there's an ironic level, there's a self-awareness level, but there's just all the level of smart people who are kind of in on the bit. Yeah. And I'm not super convinced these videos are reaching people who are like, oh, I thought Putin was good before. Yeah. Now I've watched the puppets and the bop.
It's changed my mind.
And I think, you know what? I think he's bad now.
Right.
Through the power
Vladimir
of music.
Putin?
Right.
Yeah, the power of music. Vladimir Putin, the war criminal? But people feel vindicated. They feel like they get their shot in. They feel like, okay, I can't do anything. I can't go to Russia and confront Putin. I can't go to the front lines in Ukraine, but I can watch this person be demeaned, diminished, caricatured, reduced, and then I'm in on that, and I've done my little bit, and then I can go to Whole Foods and get myself some organic bananas and move on with my day. And I don't mean that to belittle. Yeah. But I'm just saying is that we often feel powerless in a world in which there is genuinely very little we can do. Yeah. Other than in our communities, go about our day and so on and so forth. This brings us in on the bit. It's funny. The song is genuinely very good. It's catchy.
It's stuck in my head immediately.
And we're part of something. And some look and we then we are doing something though by being part of this. The tradition of caricature and satire and so forth, especially when aimed at the powerful, is a potent force for people to try to check the powerful, right? To check regimes, to resist regimes. That's part of resistance. And being a part of that and keeping it alive is actually really important. So that is genuine. I don't mean to demean people. That is genuinely something we can do, is just being a part of that.
Yeah. Kira, you do this professionally. There's something to be said about the idea of any company being like, what we should do is puppets. There's another thing about actually applying craft to this. Talk to me about the craft that you see in terms of the level of these videos.
Yeah. So one of the first things that I really liked was that all the puppet caricatures are clear, but none of them are getting into an area where it feels insulting or potentially racist or problematic. But you know who everybody is. Yeah. So that's already a nice thing. Sometimes puppet caricatures
It's a bit dicey.
It can be.
Got it.
Whoever is doing their graphics is a genius. All that is really well done. AI is getting harder to clock, but I'm not clocking any AI, which always makes me feel better.
Yeah.
And I think doing it in a green screen studio, like I assume that's how this is being done, is they've got a puppet, they've got a green screen, it's really well lit, and then they're adding the graphics in after.
Yeah.
That helps you do this in an agile way. Like, I've been on giant puppet productions, did Fraggle Rock, Back to the Rock, and like giant sets, giant studios, amazing things, whatever. And all that is amazing. It is slow. It is shooting with puppets does not move fast necessarily.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this to scare people away from hiring puppets. Please hire me and use puppets all the time. But being able to write something quick based on a current event, get in your green screen room, shoot it, and get the thing out there is so key. And I think really serves what GZERO is trying to do here.
Yeah. Moscrop, I got about 30 seconds left here. What do you want to see Puppet Regime tackle next?
Whoa, that's a real curveball.
Yeah, it's hard.
In
Pick
30
a crisis.
seconds?
Pick a crisis, you know?
Pick a crisis.
Yeah.
Canada losing to the U.S. in a hockey.
You think
Really
that's
ruined.
You want to see that in a puppet form?
I think we should go nuclear over it. I mean, we should develop nuclear weapons over it just in case it happens again. Because how else are you gonna beat Hellebrook? Tactical battlefield nukes. I got no other solution. The guy stops pucks with his stick from on the line. I was a goalie for a long time. You can't. What do you do?
David Moscrop, I think we should go nuclear, and by that I mean we should develop nuclear weapons, is actually the line of the moment. You should pitch that to Puppet Regime and put that in something. In the meantime, I got to say thank you to both of you for coming on the show today. This has been a delight. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, of
Thanks for
course.
having me.
David Moscrop is a political columnist. He's a contributing writer of the Globe and Mail and The Walrus. He's also a general menace, and he knows it. But Kira Hall is a puppeteer with CBC Kids. They play Cotton Ball, the cat. You can find Puppet Regime on Instagram and on YouTube. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion. We'll be back tomorrow. See you then.